AI outputs are predicated on human inputs. And when it comes to business, when it comes to those who want to humanize automation to create better experiences for their customers, one of the ways you can take advantage of the tools and technologies that exist today is by having your data in order. So this mini episode coming up is going to focus on data fluidity, and I'm going to give you a roadmap to do just that. So stay tuned. Another episode of Humanize Automation is on the way. Welcome everybody to another mini episode, a little tutorial, if you will, here on Humanize Automation. If you have listened to the show before, you know me. I am an educator at heart, and part of having the gift of this platform and the show is getting to not only choose what I want to talk about, of course, but to have the opportunity to use it as a way to get smaller short form content out to you, something that you can listen to in a quick car ride to your next errand or appointment. And this mini episode is going to be focused on a question that I get so often when I am speaking and consulting, which is on data fluidity. Well, not everyone calls it data fluidity. That's my term for it. Data meaning it can move from one point to another, from one system to another, from one tactical execution in your business to the end user, whatever it may be. Getting your data in order is essential if you want to be able to leverage and harness the power that so many of these AI and generative AI tools can bring to your business. So I thought it would be only appropriate to have a quick mini episode here talking through some of the steps. And I will give you 5 that make you a little more data fluid in your organization. So if you want to talk strategy, comment in on this episode, ping me on social media, etc. for, okay, well, how can I maybe do this in my business? But for right now, I just want to give you a framework that's going to help you kind of zoom out and conceptualize your data, and then how you can make it manageable in your organization for not only an immediate implementation or an immediate project, but for the long term. So if you're listening to this, there is going to be a slide that accompanies it with some automations in it, but it's not essential. But if you're one of those people who learn a little more visually and want to have that reinforced, you can watch the video as well. So without further ado, let's dive into what I call my mini data fluidity roadmap. When it comes to getting your data in order, the first step is simply to audit or assess the data that you currently have. Now, I am going to make the assumption now that when you are listening to this, you are going to follow me on this journey, and to make it the most applicable to your business, I want you to think of kind of one strategy, one use case, one KPI, key performance indicator, or one metric that you are going to want to achieve more, and therefore you're thinking, okay, I need to find a data strategy to be able to do this. Like, for example, let's say you are a retail business, like a boutique retail business, where you have all types of cool stuff, including, products that are more manufactured, some things that are more like organic and vegan, and then other things that are like local handmade crafts. You just have all this type of stuff, beer, wine, all the goodies, and you have a whole breadth of customers. And you want to leverage your POS, your point of sale system, to not only learn more about your customers' behavior, but you want to be able to understand their behavior and buying within your retail space, so that when you have new products in, let's say there's a new local handmade craft merchant that's coming in, that you know how to target that marketing well, and you can automate a lot of that. Again, if you have your data in place, but man, right now you just don't have that data in place right away. So the first step is to audit and assess the data you do have and the data that you are able to collect. What is it? What format does it come in? Does the data in your system easily talk to other systems via an API, an application programming interface? Meaning, is there a key that it could be shared from there to here, from your point of sale system to an email marketing system, if those are in fact 2 separate systems? You need to look at what that data looks like, what you currently have, and then also understand what data do you need to be able to reach your goal. Again, let's go back to this retail example, and let's say that goal is to be able to target market people who have bought local handmade goods from local merchants before, and you have a new merchant that's coming into the store. So you want to make sure you are targeting that message, or maybe a more unique message, to everyone in your system, every past customer who has bought something from a handmade merchant. And maybe even you want to get more granular, something that has to do with wearable crafts versus displayable crafts. Any of the above. Again, you need to audit and assess what data you have and really understand what data you need in the gaps to get that goal accomplished. Once you've done that, the second step here, so step one is audit and assess. Step two then is to clean and normalize the data. What that means, especially if you have a ton of different systems coming together, is if, let's say, again, walking through this with the retail store example, you have a point of sale system that has first and last name as two columns, yet in your email marketing system, the first and last name are in one column. They're concatenated. They're grouped together that way. Well, obviously, that's not going to flow back and forth well. So as you are cleaning and normalizing the data, you have to find a similar structure on both of those systems that can work, because it's going to be very, very awkward if in one instance it's hello first name versus hello last name versus hello name. You just need to make sure that those things are normalized across all of your data sources. And yes, that's kind of the pain in the you know what part of it, but you have to get that in place in order to be able to leverage these tools, these automations, and especially the personalizations that you want to achieve. And those go well beyond the first name. The next thing you have to do, step one, audit, assess. Step two, clean and normalize. And then step three, consolidate. What data do you actually need to have fluid transferring back and forth between those systems? You may not need this entire purchase history transferred, but maybe you tag and have categories for different purchases. You have wine purchases. Maybe you even categorize it into red, white, or rosé, so you really know more about your customers. Maybe you have local handmade merchants. Maybe you have, again, as I said, wearable crafts or displayable crafts. Maybe you have food products. Maybe you have a note that if it's a vegan food purchase or a gluten-free food purchase, whatever it is, you probably have this massive data, but how you consolidate it from a bank of 1,000+ products is to categorize and consolidate those into categories or tags that would then transfer over to, again, your email marketing system. So when you want to segment your audience better to reach them, you're going to be able to do that because, again, you've assessed your data, you've normalized it, and then you've consolidated it into a form that is quickly usable. The fourth step here. So we've gone through audit and assess. Step one. Step two, clean and normalize. Step three, consolidate. And then step four is compliance and security. Now, this is at a, of course, higher level that needs to be discussed. I am not a cybersecurity expert. There are people way smarter than me at that. But what I can tell you about this is you really need to make sure that your customer data from one system is protected into another, that the transfer of that data, that fluidity of that data, that API is encrypted, is protected, that, again, your customer data is not going to leak and it's not going to be at risk. And that also involves strengthening your passwords. Yes, I know those strong passwords that you can never remember and you save somewhere. Find a way to make sure that not only is your data compliant, but it's also secure. Compliance also means that people have given you, yes, permission to be emailed. So let's say you have not done an email list before, but you want to start this up. You have their customer data through the point of sale and you found a way to match an email address with that point of data. When they give it to you, make sure that you have their permission, again, to send them emails. One of the most frustrating things is when you hand out your business card or you give your information for something and then all of a sudden you get added to an email list. That makes me lose trust in you so quickly. And if I know that's how you're going to treat my data, why would I refer business to you? So again, make sure that you are compliant and secure, not only in the storage of your data, how you're organizing your data, what data you are saving, but that when you do connect these APIs, when you do connect systems together, you're only transferring data over and that other system only has access to the relevant data and not the entirety of your consumer data. And then, of course, make sure you have any customer's permission to communicate with them in that electronic form. And last but not least here, step number 5, you need to have governing and monitoring and governance and all of these things in place. And really what that means is, how are you going to monitor the security of your data? How are you going to monitor and govern the use of the data? How are you going to then, at a bigger picture, and here's where this all comes together, make sure that your culture, the culture in your organization, in your business, is set up so that everybody is making sure that the data that is entered is accurate. Garbage in equals garbage out. You all have heard me say it before that AI output is predicated on human input. So when you have this set up, you've set so much time making the strategy in your business, the last thing you want to do is get in a habit of sloppy data entry. Of course, the more you can automate, that makes it consistent. And obviously that's part of the step here, but you want to make sure that you have a data culture. That doesn't mean we're taking away the human element. In fact, if it's done well, it's the opposite. You actually get to know your customers better so you can better recommend products or services or opportunities to them. So back to this retail example, you want to make sure that all of your team knows that if they're collecting consumer data, maybe their email, that they want to make sure they have checked that box, that they've gotten permission to add this customer's profile to the list for marketing opportunities in the future, or that any marketing that you do very clearly states that, yes, we will be using your email to send you different opportunities, events, marketing, etc. Whatever it is, being transparent and letting your whole team know what you're trying to achieve can help you, because at the end of the day, business comes back to people. And without having the people in line and that culture in line, this data fluidity roadmap is going to fall short. So to summarize it up, this 5-step roadmap, helping you at least start to conceptualize how you might want your data in order. And I walked you through this from a boutique retail example here. Number 1, you want to audit and assess the data that you currently have. And of course, keeping this with a specific goal in mind, and then expanding it to bigger picture in your organization of what you might want to achieve next. Step number 2 is you want to clean and normalize that data. Make sure those columns, those fields, those rows are, not only consistent, but then in step 3, you consolidate it to get only the information you need to pass back and forth via APIs, application programming interfaces, from one system to another. Then after you've consolidated that data, make sure your compliance and security around that data and having your customers' permission in the ways that you use that data are solid. Be ethical here with what you are doing. And when you're serving your customers better, they're going to see the benefits of that data. And then last but not least, of course, make sure that you have some monitoring and governance tools and policies in place that involve the culture in your organization to make sure that everyone on the team understands the importance of getting this data, collecting it, entering it in a systematic way, and using it to benefit the customer. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to running a business, when it comes to using customer data, you really want to make sure you're doing it in a way that allows your business to be more human and provide more humanized experiences to those that you serve, because that's something that will be remembered.